What's up, guys? Teddy Cornwell here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk. Something about the Underdog. Today, we have the King Snake on the Underdog Talk. That's right, the King fucking Snake. But before we get into this interview, you guys know I have to give this man a proper Underdog Talk introduction.
My man, thank you.
Yes, sir. Hailing from Detroit, Michigan. Go Lions! I don't know, Steve. You might not be a Lions fan, but go Lions! Today's guest is an IFBB professional bodybuilder and firefighter from Plano, Texas. He's made a name for himself through winning professional competitions and standing out on the Mr.Olympia stage 4 times. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud and honored to present the King Snake himself, the one and only Mr. Steve Kuclo. What is up, sir? How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I appreciate you getting me on the show, and I love seeing people grow things, and if I could help be a part of it and grow it, so it's inspiring not only for myself and to get good, positive information out there. And that's what you like to do. So, man, we're here. Let's rock and roll.
Oh, yeah. And I was going to almost wear a tank top before this interview. And I am so fucking glad. Good fucking Lord of mercy, Steve. You are filling your screen up, sir. And speaking of big weight, Steve, before we start this interview, I don't even know if I want to know this answer, but you just posted a video of you, doing the Viking press.
Yeah.
And I do need to know. I've got to ask, how much weight was on that, sir?
It was 5 plates aside, so it's like 450 pounds, something like that. Yeah, it was. I'm a strong presser in like my shoulders. It's always been kind of a strength of mine. As I've gotten older, I've backed down a little bit, but every once in a while I get a little froggy and feel like jumping. So we were at Flex's gym in Vegas. And a lot of new toys out there, and that's a newer piece from Arsenal Strength. So I was like, let's give it a test ride.
And I could easily do that, Steve. I was just fucking with you. Now, I'm. Please don't destroy me. I could not even do that. You are absolutely the man. But Steve, I want to start from the beginning. You were born in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah. So, Steve, real quick, I am interested. Were you a Lions fan or are a Lions fan?
No, man. They've never captured my heart. I was a Red Wings fan for hockey. I was a big hockey player. Still am a Red Wings fan, but my alliance is now with Dallas, being in Dallas for about 18
I'm
years.
a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan.
I'm Cowboys. Cowboys run through my veins now, and a lot of the other Dallas teams. So,
hey, I'm a diehard Tony Romo fan. A lot of people are going to be hurting when I say that, but I think
he's great. He's great. He's great.
Tony Romo, like a sanctuary to the man. Either way, now speaking of sports, Steve, throughout your youth, you competed in football, baseball, and like you just mentioned, hockey. In fact, you were quite the successful hockey player, earning many regional awards. Mm-hmm. So that athletic, background is what led you to the weight room.
Yeah.
Do you remember, the first time you stepped into that gym, first time you picked up that medal, and just really were like, this is fucking awesome?
Oh, yeah. No, the addiction to the iron really happened in middle school. I remember my buddies and I, there was always like, hey, let's get on our dad's bench and just try to like bench some weight. You didn't know what you're doing. And then when I got into high school and started football, they had a weight training program. And I remember as a freshman going in and then seeing some of the seniors, I was like, these dudes are huge. And I was like, I want to be huge like them. So I love training. I put on muscle fairly easy. I was strong. And obviously that's a recipe for success in the gym. So I just really pursued that. And I always wanted to be the biggest, fastest, strongest guy on the field or on the ice. And that kind of was my drive to train initially, and then it eventually grew into the passion of bodybuilding. I always had the magazines growing up, watched all the Olympias from, I think my first Olympia I watched, I was like 14 when it was on pay-per-view, and it was back in the late 90s, and just stuff like that really inspired me to get into the bodybuilding realm of things.
Yeah. And I mean, Steve, speaking of that, like many, you became obsessed with improving yourself and, you begin to fall in love with lifting because once you fall in love with that fitness and that passion for it, I mean, it is the most rewarding thing. And I mean, as a result, you started gaining some mass and decided to try your hand at bodybuilding, Steve.
Yeah.
Uh, you took the stage for the first time at 18 years old. I mean, would you mind talk a little more about the process of prepping, to be a bodybuilder at such a young age? Because oftentimes we don't think of 18-year-olds getting on stage for the first time. What was that like?
I was blessed to have a great training partner. It was also my first coach, Justin Harris, Jim Trapone Nutrition. He's still very relevant on the internet and coaching circuit. He's one of the most brilliant people I know, not only nutritionally but just his wealth of knowledge. So I was 18, started training at a powerhouse gym when I was in Detroit. So it's kind of like one of the legendary gyms in that area, and there's a lot of bodybuilders there. And I always thought you had to be the size of Ronnie Coleman to get on stage. When I was 18, I was like, no way I could compete. So obviously they have divisions and age brackets and whatnot for the different athletes. So what I remember going to a few competitions and be like, I think I can do this. And then people encouraged me that were in the gym. Obviously a little nervous being the first time getting on stage, but I remember the first time I literally was backstage getting ready to go on. Teenage division was the first thing to go there wasn't all the divisions back then. There wasn't physique and classic physique and bikini and all that. There just was literally like bodybuilding. At the time, there was, I think, women's bodybuilding and figure,
Yes.
and maybe fitness. They're really just, that was it to a bodybuilding show. And I remember walking out and like looking at the audience, and then everybody kind of starts cheering. And you're like, okay, this is like motivating. It's not a like people are throwing shit at you on stage like you suck. They're supporting you, and that in itself was very encouraging. And I felt like it was. I felt very comfortable, and at that point, I knew I was like, "This is where I belong," and ended up doing the men's open division as well. And I believe I placed third or fourth in the men's open at my first show at 18 years old. And a lot of people were like, "You got something," and to me, I just fell in love with the sport and the challenge, the self challenge, the part of the sport that really is a there's no team aspect to bodybuilding. It's very much on you. There is a team when it comes to, like your coach and your family and support system. But as far as who's got to eat the food, lift the weights, suffer, it's all on you at the end of the day. So that was one of the kind of unique things of the sport I also liked. So the challenge of it was competing with yourself. And that's really another part that drew me in.
And I so agree on that. And I've a few things to add on to that. I mean, being someone who's been able to, with the Underdog Talk, be able to talk to my heroes, Kevin Levrone, Branch Warren, now you, Steve, these are the most respectful and just you see these big motherfuckers and think they're the meanest people, but this industry, this bodybuilding, it's a family, and I've really learned that yes, at the end of the day, we might be competing against each other on stage, but it's one big family of of a sport, and it truly is a special thing. And now, to add on to that, Steve, I don't look like you. I actually am doing my first bodybuilding show on Sunday. I don't look like you at all, but yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to just go out there and that same passion shit. When you were 18, I'm way past my prime now.
Teddy, how old are you now?
I'm 23. I'm 23.
Oh, you're still a baby.
I know. I actually, believe it or not, I'm going to the finals before I even stepped on stage, because in the junior classic, there is no one else. So I'm going up, posing, doing my routine, automatically winning and going to the finals. But hey, a win's a win. But I love that. And I mean, there is something about bodybuilding that I think is improving, and that's the money in there. And especially for you, Steve, bodybuilding wasn't at that time the most lucrative sport, and you realize that as in 2007, you needed to find something else as a day job,
right?
While chasing this dream, which you eventually achieved. Congratulations. Therefore, you chose to become a firefighter at 21 years old.
Right.
thank you for your service, a job that you would actually keep for quite a long time.
Yeah, 10
So
years.
10 years, yes, sir. So I guess, do you think more money will start to flow into the sport of bodybuilding as it is getting bigger and bigger each year?
I hope it does. I wish there was even more. I think there would be more incentive for athletes to compete, and a lot of people think you say professional athlete, they think status of like a pro golfer, or a pro baseball player, and I'm like, no, it's not quite like that. Only the very top guys, they do well, but still not probably to the level of what a lot of the other pro athletes do. So there's been a little bit of shift that before in the late 90s and the early 2000s, it was just like guys would get the supplement contract, they would compete. That was kind of the big revenue stream for bodybuilders. Now bodybuilders have taken a little bit more of the entrepreneur hats and now are involved in a lot more of their own clothing lines, their own supplement lines. Doing stuff like that has created more revenue for the athletes, but it's also created another job. It's not just that bodybuilding is their only job. So when I was coming up, yeah, I had a supplement contract. It was enough to supplement what I was doing, but I also needed to have work full time as a firefighter, and that's what allowed me to pursue bodybuilding eventually full time. To put, and that's what I encourage people. A lot of guys, young guys, are like, hey, I want to start competing, and I'm just going all in on this, and they're like, I'm quitting school, I'm not working. I'm like, whoa, time out. Like, let's get you right here. Like, you need to think about how you're going to pay for all the stuff that you got to do. There's, the food alone is a freaking mortgage, let alone, putting a roof over your head and driving a car. And now gas is $20 a gallon. So
Yeah, and I think you hit that on the nail, the nail on the head. And you picked a very respectful profession also. And I mean, I'm sure you gained so much life experience being a firefighter as well. And I agree. We are seeing it. There is more money starting to flow into bodybuilding, which I love. It is such an extreme sport. These, gentlemen and women work so fucking hard to do this, and they need that extra support. So I'm happy to see there is more money flowing in, whether that be, more money to the event, supplement deals, all that. And I mean,
yeah,
Steve, your fucking hard work paid off. I mean, in 2011, you know
yeah,
what's coming. You took the stage at the NPC USA contest and you won your pro card, bro. Congratulations, sir. I mean, so two things. What was the work, behind the scenes that went into becoming a pro bodybuilder? And then what was that feeling like that when you heard your name being called as the winner? What was that like?
Again, back in that day, there was minimal. I don't even think there was physique back then. It was just bodybuilding still for men, and that the in that era was like the MD followed all the national level guys. There was a big like following, of like the top three of every division of who was going to be the next pro, and a lot of hype and I think eyeballs were on the national level, not just pro shows, which it was awesome because I think I started 2007 was my first national show, so it wasn't hey go to nationals turn pro, and there's some people that do that now, but back then, I mean, the fields were very deep. The top 10 guys, any one of them could win based on how they came in. If you look at like the class of 2011 was like Juan Morel, John De La Rosa, Tamara Gundy. A lot of these guys went on to have really good careers, win a lot of shows, and so for me, I mean, obviously getting second, getting third, getting fifth in different shows leading, the previous years, it motivated me to not only improve my physique, but no, okay, we just got to keep improving. I didn't look at this as a defeat. I know I was still very young. I was in my early 20s, competing against a lot of guys in their 30s, and kind of in the prime of muscle maturity in their mid 30s, and guys that have been doing it for 10 to 15 years. So, I mean, at that level. So I started working with Hani in 2010, and then we went into 2011. I really wanted that Mr. USA title. Like, I was like, man, that's like the baddest ass, like, to go pro title there was.
Yeah, right.
Ended up really training my ass off, literally. Like, it was, I was at the time working on the busiest ambulance in the city of Dallas. I was, working 24-hour shifts, literally up for 24 hours at a time. And it really taught me that I could manage not only being super tired and under, manage stress and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of life experience with that, but it also taught me that, that if you really work hard enough, you want it hard enough, you can do it. And for me, going into the USAs, and it was kind of one of the guys that were the favorites, and I absolutely left no stone unturned. I crossed every T, dotted every I, went to that show and felt like the winner going into it. And it was the first time I was like, man, this is my show. And I did what I needed to do. I did my homework, showed up, and went out there and dominated. And I remember, because you only, like I was told this once, it's like you only turn pro once. And when you think about it, like it's kind of like winning a Mr.Olympia as an amateur in a way. It's like you're really hitting that first mountaintop of like the journey. And then like you get to that mountaintop, and then there's another mountain after that you got to go climb. But doing that was it was a great experience, and one that I always remember, one of my favorite shows and wins that I've had in my career. And it really, to me, catapulted me into that next level of, the guys to watch out for.
Damn right. And I mean, Steve, after that, success followed. I mean, you became a household name. And then, most recently, I don't know if people know this who are watching, but Steve, I mean, you just got third at the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
Like, you're still that guy. You're still hungry. You still have so much more. I mean, so what is next for you? Where do you see, what's your next show? What's your plans going forward, Steve?
The next show for me is the Texas Pro, and that's like in 4.5 weeks. So I've kind of decided to throw my hat in, my name in that hat. I did that show last year, placed second to Ian. Very close, very, very close show. Could have gone either way. So a little bit's like, it's Texas. I gotta carry that title. Like, it's in my backyard. Like, nobody's coming to Texas and winning this title but me. That's part of it. And part of it, I did the Arnold, got third, went to Boston. And I want to go, I want to win a show this year and then go into Olympia from there on a win. I think there's a lot more momentum and clout that goes behind that. I have enough points at this point to qualify for Olympia, but I think the win would be a cool thing going into it.
I think representing the great state of Texas, I think that's just a call-in for you, Steve.
Yeah.
That has your name. I mean, I don't see anyone else, that represents Texas better than you. And obviously, Branch Warren's been on this show, and he's watching. He's like, don't you dare. But hey, Branch is out of the game. Branch is retired. So this is your
time. He's one of the GOATs, man. He really is. Branch is awesome.
He was, and side note, I thought Branch was going to be, I've said this story a few times. I thought Branch, when he came on, I thought he was going to be the not meanest. I thought he was going to be the scariest, most humble, yet hungry dude. It was very hard to describe how Branch Warren is. He's hungry, yet he is humble, and it's
he still is. I mean, he still trains like an animal. A guy still got a passion for the sport, and I mean, that's motivating itself, but also very successful outside of the sport and industry and the business.
Ricky cuts jerky, baby.
Hey, that's it.
Jerky out there. Now, Steve, I mean, finally, I want to end it with, you've seen it all in the fitness industry. You really, honestly, even just in fitness in general, from a young age, playing all these sports, now being one of the best to do it. What is your biggest tip for someone who's looking to start their fitness journey? And then why not? What is your biggest tip for someone who's looking to become a bodybuilder?
I think the biggest thing is be patient. I think a lot of people want to rush things. We're a society of instant gratification. We're like, hey, I want results right now. So you got to be patient, especially in bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is a lot more involved, a lot more depth, like to really what it takes to be a bodybuilder. It's more of an extreme sport. So it's the biggest, the hardest, the leanest, guys are the ones that win. But be smart about it. Educate yourself. I think there's a lot of bad information online and there's a lot of good information online, but you just got to find the right stuff, follow the right people. Don't follow the, Boston Lloyds and the Rich Pianas that give you like these crazy things that you're going to, people look at. And so I encourage you to do research for younger guys. If you have an opportunity to pick their brain, whether it's going to a seminar or meet and greets, like that kind of stuff that we do I think that kind of the experience we have is, I mean, you're talking about the thing about bodybuilding, which is different. And I always say it's like we're our own science experiments in ways. Like, science has never studied a bodybuilder, biology and chemistry and everything that's involved in the body. And the extremes that we pushed it, like when they do studies on how much protein they eat, they do it on a normal 130, 40 pound person. That's just a little active. And you take somebody like that's 270 pounds, that's lean, that's got a ton of muscle. It's like, well, that's a whole different animal. So you definitely have to learn what works for yourself. Be patient. Try to find a good coach, somebody that you do trust, somebody that's got a good track record, and just be diligent with it. And if you are, and you're patient, and you're consistent with what you want to do, you could accomplish it. And obviously somebody that's 5'5" and 150 pounds won't be the same size as me at 6 foot 280 on stage. So there's genetic limitations to things, but if you really, there's a category and there's a spot for everybody in this sport now, with the different divisions and different options they have for athletes. And even somebody that's in the fitness that want to get involved in the industry, doesn't necessarily want to compete. There's so many avenues too now to make money, whether it's training, online training, stuff like that. So it's they're definitely evolving industry, and the way the sport is kind of evolving in itself. So it's cool to see. It's cool to be a part of, and I just want to continue to be a good representative for the sport and be a positive influence for a lot of the young athletes out there.
And I mean, Steve, you truly are. You are such an inspiration to people just getting into their bodybuilding career. I mean, you're one of the greats who I look up to. So many people look up to you. I mean, we are talking with one of the best to do it. I just got to add that. A dude who still has so much more to prove, and I mean, the King Snake, he's coming for it all, baby. Now, Steve, I know you are a truly busy guy, but are you down for some rapid fire questions? Because
we can do it. Come on.
Never heard some of these questions before. All right, let's get it. First one, favorite car that you own? I heard that you're a kind of car guy.
Yeah, I've got a lot of love for my ZR1 Corvette. That's it's an animal. It's over 1,000 horsepower. It's a straight adrenaline rush driving that.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting question. Get your dream car or win the Arnold Classic?
Oof. I think the dream car is worth more than the Arnold Classic winning. But, I say this. The Arnold Classic is one of the titles that I really I would hang my hat on and kind of my career on. Like, my goal is to win the Arnold Classic. Like, I have aspirations to win Olympia, absolutely. But the Arnold Classic's one that if I win, I would love to that's a show that I would be able to say, I've accomplished what I've wanted to accomplish, and I could retire on top, and that's I think it's one of the greatest shows. So, God, that's a hard one, man. I would say probably the Arnold. I would say the Arnold because, that's like hitting the bucket list thing, and then I'll earn the money to get to a dream car eventually.
I love that. Now, let me ask you this. Have the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year or get your dream car?
I'm gonna go with the dream car because I can't put all my eggs on the Cowboys on that. I've been disappointed too many years. but
I had to. Oh, and our guy Bartley Weaver just timed it. This is the man. Me and Steve need to do the World Tamale Eating Championship later this year.
Oh boy.
Oh, I would love to see that because Bartley is the only competitive and pro bodybuilder, and adding Steve, that would be a deadly combo right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, last two questions are the big ones on this show.
Yeah.
Talk like Rocky Balboa for the rest of your life, or have to box Rocky Balboa in his prime?
I'm going to go with the box. And
I love that because I've had a lot of guests who actually have seen Sylvester Stallone, and he is actually not the tallest dude. Apparently, he's the nicest dude ever, and we're not actually.
Yeah, Sylvester's great. He's a big bodybuilding fan too. But
yes.
Yeah, no, I'm not afraid of anybody, and I think that would be fun.
I would like to see that. That would be an entertaining fight.
Yeah,
Final question, Steve. This is going to determine who you are.
bring it.
Pull-ups or chin-ups?
I could do both, man.
I know you can do both.
Not the whole. What are those CrossFit things that they do?
Oh,
the body ups or
hips,
whatever they're called, or
like yeah, I know.
yeah. I can't do those, but I'm gonna say, because as a bodybuilder, I'm thinking what's gonna work and develop the most muscle and stuff. So I'm gonna do a pull up, like not a chin up. So I'm pull up.
That is the right answer. I mean, to be honest, not that I can do either. I always say that. I really can't. I don't know what's up with me. But, I mean, pull-ups is the right answer. I mean, we are talking with a man with so much potential who's achieved so much, a former firefighter, an IFB pro. The list goes on and on. I mean, Steve, it has been an honor and privilege. Before we get you out of here, where can we find your content? Where can we find where can we run? What code can we use to support you?
Oh yeah. I'm sponsored by Iron Rebel. I love their clothes. Use King Snake, you can get a discount with them. As far as everybody can look me up. Steve Kuclo is really my handle on Instagram, and I got kicked off of Twitter because Twitter did all their dump of people that if you didn't agree with them, they kicked you off. I'm still on Facebook. I haven't got on the whole TikTok train and all that. I know it's popular, but I'm just not going to get on a video and dance and point at the screen and do that shit. It's just not my era. I do have my website, Steve Kuclo. But yeah, no, I mean, Instagram's my main spot. Like, anybody that reaches out to me that sends me a message, I usually, get to respond to it. I mean, if you're serious and you ask me a legitimate question, I usually would take the time and respond to you, So, yeah, that's me, man.
Hell yeah, I love it. I mean, run Steve's codes up. Support him in the his upcoming Texas bodybuilding show. Again, Steve, it has been, such an honor and privilege. Now, speaking of my Dallas Cowboys, I got to go watch that 49ers game back and just cry to sleep. But hey,
I know.
Until next time, guys, Underdog out.